Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and I'm going to share some more scriptures and talk about the fact is that the rapture has to precede the time of the tribulation or the time of Jacob's trouble. And there's a number of reasons. That's why we're doing a lot of videos about this, so people will have a sure foundation of knowing what they believe. You know, it's important that you, of course, not just take my word for it. You need to search the scriptures to find out if what's being taught is accurate. You know, don't take my word for it, because a number of reasons. One is that, you know, when you research these things out, now you can be assisted by good teaching and really be pointed in the right direction. But you know, when you research these things yourself and go verify the scriptures, then this will, you know, lay a good foundation for what you believe. I find that most people are swayed back and forth simply because they really don't have a good foundation in the Word themselves, and they don't really have become grounded in spiritual truth, so they can be swayed or deceived by other people who are preaching false doctrine. So that's one way of really protecting yourself, is to, you know, research these things yourself and really become established in what you believe, and that's important. One thing I'm going to talk about in particular is, of course, that this time frame is that we're about to see that we're seeing actually on the horizon. This time frame that when Yahuwah is going to come out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. Now, I shared in our last video about how that in Isaiah chapter 26, that the rapture is even revealed in the Tanakh, or the Old Testament, because if you read the Isaiah 26, starting at verse 19, I believe, as you read through the end of that chapter, you will see that Isaiah is prophesying, talking about first of all, he's talking about a resurrection, because he says, your dead bodies shall live. In fact, he includes himself, that your bodies shall live together with mine, talking about being resurrected out of the earth shall disclose, you know, those that are in the graves. Of course, this is talking about a resurrection here. And then he also says that even before that takes place, he said that he said, it prophesies, "Come, my people, hide yourselves for a while until the indignation be past." Now, this could not be talking about, you know, the indignation or the anger or the punishment of everlasting punishment, because he says for a while. So, in other words, there's a time frame designed, or he's speaking of, when he says until the indignation be past. So there's a time limit involved here, and you know, I believe this time limit he's talking about, of course, here is 7 years of tribulation which will come upon the earth, and so he says to come and hide yourselves until the indignation be past. And of course, he's talking about his people, and his people, as I mentioned to you, in this particular time frame that we're living in, the people are the called out, the bride of Mashiach, the body of Mashiach, as we're referred to, and those that are dead and alive in Mashiach will be caught up to meet Yahusha in the air, and so shall we ever be with him. And of course, we're going to be protected in the Shamaim, in the Father's house, while the tribulation is being unfolded in these sealed judgments. All 21 sealed judgments will be released during this time frame. And so I want to read some notes here that I made, and one of them in particular says, "The rapture occurs during when the world does not expect judgment." Boy, that's for sure. And because here's the reason: as it was in the days of Noah, and this, of course, the Mashiach, the Messiah, speaking about the time frame that we're talking about. He says, "As in the days of Noah," parentheses here, "the last thing that they expected was Yahuwah's judgment. They did eat, they drank, they married wives." I was invited to a wedding just the other day, to come to someone's wedding in October. And the moment that came to me, I just thought about that. You know, people still getting married, just normal time frame. And then it says, "As in the days of Lot." He says, as the days of Noah, and then he's going to make a comparison to the days of Lot. They bought, they sold, they planted, they built. In other words, they built homes or whatever. Even thus, and that's happening today. People are just going about in their lives today as if nothing is different. And of course, those that are paying attention, those that are watching the signs of the time, realize that we're at 11:59, right at 12 o'clock, before the tribulation will begin. And then it says, he says, even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Wow. You'll find that in Luke chapter 17, verses 26 through 30. So he's telling us that it's going to be a time frame just as it was in the days of Noah and the days of Lot. In other words, life is normal. That's why I shared with you in a few videos in the past the other day about the fact is that the rapture will happen, I believe, on an ordinary day. There will be not some particular day when everybody's just, on go, ready to thinking it's going to happen that particular day. Because, and of course, in my dream that I had about the rapture, I mentioned the fact is that was one of the things that really stood out in my dream, was that it was just an ordinary day. I was in my home. I was going from one room to the other. And all of a sudden, things started happening, and you could go back and listen to my video that I did on that. But the thing that really stood out to me was the fact is that there was nothing in particular that I was, looking for to happen that particular day. Now, I'm always conscious of the fact that we could go home today, but what I'm making reference to is that, I did not put on my calendar that, this date that the rapture will happen. And so I don't believe it'll be a day like that where people will say, even those that are watching for it will be able to point to and say, this is when it will happen. Now, we have a lot of people who predict they know, but they've all been proven wrong, those that have predicted the day of the rapture. So I believe it will happen, just like Yahushua said, because he's the one that said this. He said it will be as normal. Things will not be, there will not be great signs before his coming. In other words, a great expectancy upon a lot of people that it's going to happen that particular day. Now, we are instructed to know the times and the seasons, and even the Apostle Paul mentioned that day would not overtake us as a thief in the night, meaning that, when it happens, we're not going to wonder why this would happen. We know why it happened. We know that what we've been called to go home to, and that so in that sense it will not catch us by surprise in that. But the day and the event itself will, of course, totally catch the unbelievers totally by surprise, because they're not expecting this. And notice that judgment comes immediately. In both of these cases, judgment fell. When Noah shut the ark, the flood came immediately. When Lot was taken out, judgment fell. And that's I believe that's exactly what Yahushua said. It's going to be the same way. Judgment is going to fall. Now, it's going to take 7 years for all these judgments to come and be released upon the earth. But the judgment will start, I believe, immediately at the rapture. And that was another part of the dream that I had, that it was a day of darkness. Actually, it was a bright, sunshiny day, and then all of a sudden, it turned completely dark. Black, pitch black dark. Not cloudy like it does before it rains. It actually turned pitch black dark in the middle of the day, signifying judgment. So, I hope this is encouraging you, because this should encourage you, because if you're born again and you're a true believer in the Messiah, we have the blessed hope of us not having to face this time frame, but that we'll be called up to meet the Mashiach in the air, and so shall we ever be with him. So, tell others, share this with others, friends on your Facebook, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't, and encourage others to do also. There's over 1,200 videos that you can watch, and I teach more on just the rapture, but there's a lot of things that you can receive ministry from. There's no charge for it. It's free. I don't get paid to do this. Yahushua takes care of me. He meets all of my needs. And so, but it's to be a blessing to you. So until next time, shalom.